Indeed, I do. We turn our attention now to the World Economic Forum in Davos. Now, Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan is confident that SOEs and their reputation are being fixed and that they will recover from the current state. He was speaking to the SABC in Davos.
Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan is certain that state-owned enterprises can be brought under control. He spoke to us on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Minister, thanks so much for your time on SABC News. We heard that Team South Africa was going to come here with one message, and we also heard that we were going to find out and get more answers on state-owned enterprises when we're in Davos. So give us a sense of what that's going to be.
Well, our message in the context of what is being called the fourth phase of globalization is firstly about our own country, that we are on a fascinating path of growth and renewal. We are inspiring confidence. We are, through the President, working hard at getting investments generally into the economy and ensuring that both foreign investors and local South African investors are putting their money into the country so that A, we can grow the economy, B, we can be inclusive so that more people benefit from that growth, 3, that we create the jobs that are necessary. But where globalization 4.0 comes in is the challenge we are going to have, which we're certainly going to start addressing in the next year or two, is how do we train our young people to cope with and get jobs in and become entrepreneurs in the new digital terrain or technology terrain that is unfolding at the moment. So that's the message that South Africa comes with, that we are rebuilding institutions. SOEs are one example, but there are many others that were damaged in the previous period. And secondly, that all South Africans should work together to ensure that we provide the confidence and the growth that's necessary for all of us to benefit at the end of the day.
It seems as though when we are discussing those state-owned enterprises, people have almost started lumping them together as a sign of failure, as a sign of what not to do in state-owned companies. Talk to us about what's happening specifically with Eskom, SAA and the SABC.
Look, the bottom line message is that these are many of these institutions in the ownership of the state have been the sites where corruption has taken place, mismanagement has taken place. But we don't want to sit and moan about that. The more important thing is how do you reconstruct them? How do you ensure that you get the right governance? How do you ensure that we have the right management? How do we ensure that we get the right financial sustainability in each of those institutions as well? And all of this the President spelled out in the SONA last year. So in the last 9 months, that's what we all have been working at, changing governance, making sure we have the right management teams, and in very difficult circumstances, trying to get financial sustainability going. So at each of the institutions are at different stages in that journey. It's still going to take some time, but government is very determined that we accomplish the objectives that we've set and demonstrate to South Africa that as a government we have both the will and the tools that are necessary to bring about stability. But more importantly, also recognize that in some of those cases, those entities are working in a very competitive, fast-changing industries. So if you take the energy industry, what WEF will tell us is that there are very different views and dynamics that are developing in that industry. There's a view about coal, there's a view about renewables, there's a view about gas and oil. There are shifting tendencies in terms of the relative usage of each form of generation of energy and the usage of energy as well. And the utilities and the organization that is necessary to deal with this changing environment is also changing. So in many parts of the world, they're thinking about smaller grids. We have one big national grid. China also has one big national grid. But there are many other advantages from smaller grids as well. There's talk about smart grids, in other words, computerized things that are going to run our electricity supply. But at WEF, for example, there are some serious discussions going on cyber security. In other words, we're familiar with hacking of computers, hacking of organizations that have a lot of data, but you also have hacking of smart grids that could actually knock out an energy supply for a country like France or the UK or wherever for half a day, 1 day or more. So a big interest here is how do you build up resilience and ensure that you have measures in place to guard against cybersecurity threats and risks as well. Similarly, the airline industry is very fast changing also. So we've got a SAA, for example, not only has to sort out its immediate problem, but it must position itself to cope with the changing environment in which we're working. So we're making progress, and that's part of the growth and renewal in South Africa.